Buddy Bailey, Southern River Band, bringing us back in. Round one, done and dusted. Shelter FootyCast live from BackChat Studios in our brand new set. Well, excuse me, here goes my throat from the feedback from last week. You know what? Piss off whoever gave that. I can't cough. Shut up, Skeeter. Good to see you, mate.
Well, one thing I do know is that the Eagles didn't choke on the Port to Pub at the weekend. They got the job done. They've had a victory over the Dockers, and I can tell you now, Paul Hayes will be absolutely filthy because he says the Eagles had 6 swimmers, the Dockers had 5.
Well, whose fault's that? It's a 6v6 competition. I'm sorry I didn't organise a Freo player to swim for Freo. It's not our fault.
I'll give you a rap. I'm saying if you've broken the drought, you've got the job done, you've gone across. I think Ash McIntosh, Drew Banfield, you good self amongst the others. Well done to West Coast. You had a win.
This was the Port to Pub on the weekend. I've been telling everyone I swam to Rottnest with 5 other people.
3 minutes in each or 2.5?
Yeah, we're doing 3s to start with, then we just wound it in 2s, 1s, just to get that speed, repeat speed, Skeeter. No, it was very good. They'd never beaten the Dockers. I didn't know until we were back at the pub afterwards either. It was an actual competition. I just thought it was a bit of banter. Freo v West Coast. Next day it's in the paper. Drew Banfield's up on stage getting a trophy. I didn't realise until we'd won that we'd won something.
Yeah, I got some good swimmers in there. Lee Spur goes okay. Spur, but clearly not well enough. And you apparently can.
Well, I'm a good swimmer. That's why I swam. And it's not that hard. One performer, Jamie McNamara was the other youth, a bit of blood, like the real West Coast team.
He swam in the right direction?
Jamie McNamara of clearance fame ran out of the stoppage one day at Subiaco, kicked it. He came out, burst out of the pack left and right, looked up, player leading at him, hit him up. It was Darren Glass.
Poor buggers, lived it down.
Yeah, mate, it was good fun. So, as you can hear, my throat's a little bit, dusty, but apparently that always happens. Someone told me last week there was a bit of feedback from one of our fans, which we absolutely love, Skeeter, FootyCast at shelterbrewing.com.
Not happy, though. I can tell you off air is very, very antsy about getting challenged about. Now, we don't have a mute button here for coughing, so hence, if we do have to excuse ourselves.
Do you know, so people may not know that, so when, like TV and radio, when you need to cough, you got a little button in front of you and you kill your mic. Don't have that here. So I'm actually trying to look after the audience. Listen to me, bloody precious Schofield. Shut up, pristine. Mate, it's great to be back for round one. I've been gallivanting around, so I missed the last Thursday.
Very true. You've missed a lot of footy. We're only one round in.
I'm back. Shelter FootyCast is back. Last chance to get your tickets for Pacific Avenue playing this Friday down at down at Shelter Busselton. That is right. We can hear them, Skeeter. You're a fan. I think it could be sold out. Get on and have a look, but the tickets are absolutely flown out the door. So if you want to get down there, make sure you jump on the Shelter website. Hopefully you are enjoying everything we're putting together this year on the Shelter FootyCast. You can follow us over at Shelter FootyCast on Instagram. Skeeter, let's get straight into it. Fair bit going on. I think the biggest story out of the weekend, both grand finalists, first time in AFL history, happened very early in the 1900s, quite early days, 1903, 1915 and 1920. But
so something help you out with that?
No, someone corrected me because I'm on Fox Footy saying
well, certainly in the AFL era.
AFL era, never happened. Grand finalist 0 and 2. Well, it certainly never happened after round one.
No.
But to start the season 0 and 2, Collingwood and Brisbane, not off to flying starts.
No, well, look, some will argue that this turnaround from last year's grand final to this year's shorter, but it did happen, I think, going back to 2021, I think, when it was October 24. It was obviously COVID affected, and Richmond played late October and then butted up in March next year. Bottom line is, both Brisbane and Collingwood haven't been good enough against opposition that have really exposed some early season weaknesses. And history says, Scully, 0 and 2, it's pretty hard to win a flag from there. Not impossible, of course, but it's also tough even to make the finals. That's what history says. And we talked about this last year. Yep. So there's too much quality in both those sides to say they won't play finals, but you leave your margin of error is a lot less than obviously having a 2-0 start.
I think we've seen enough footy over round 0 and now round 1. I said it before we started the season. When you see these grand final sides, teams go away over the summer and they say, what are they doing well? How do they make the grand final? So Brisbane and Collingwood, I think, their ball movement and their forward ball movement, they don't go a lot of sideways, they don't go backwards, and not the typical just kick it forward, but they attack goals, they do forward handballs, they break the lines, they run in lines. from the teams that have played well, Fremantle did it. I think we've seen Carlton bring that into their game this year. GWS are doing it very well. Sydney are doing it well. So I guarantee you they've carbon copied Brisbane and Collingwood in that regard. And what it is, it's really hard to defend against. So Brisbane and Collingwood, their attack still looks pretty good, but their defence, it looks suspect against that ball movement. And it just shows that, I hope that we can have a really even season because sides are now just attacking at will, and we should have some high scoring, unless you're involved in a Ross Lyon game, high scoring footy, but certainly successful sides starting the season 0-2. I think it's slightly a good thing, to be honest.
Oh, it is great. You're 100% right. And then the two best teams in it at the moment, in my mind, Carlton's thereabouts, obviously. Giants and the Swans have played the most attractive footy thus far, but that's early doors. 413,000 across the weekend. That's a record for a round of footy in ever. So we had 40,000 yesterday, 46.04 at the Dockers Brisbane game, and 413,000 boosted by a couple of 80+ thousand crowds at the G for Thursday and Friday night.
Yeah, it was an interesting debate. Round 0, did it work? Did it not? Did it make people hungry? Was the scheduling at the MCG the thing that just helped it out? Probably. They had some good teams playing at the MCG, and we got some big crowds, but still got to get the people there. I think it's exciting.
Absolutely. And, tipping-wise, I've actually got off to a reasonable start, so I'm happy with what I did in round 1.
Do you know what I'm doing this year?
What?
So this is over on BackChat. We've sort of taken a few...
I do know.
I'm a shocking tipper.
No, well, I do this because Dan and I went through it last week, and I know he had to take all the home teams as his selections. What was the other criteria?
I've got favourites, and I can pick a roughie.
Yes. So who was your roughie last weekend?
I can't remember. I'm just looking at my tips though.
And Hammer's got.
I've got 7 on the weekend.
Yeah, I got 8, but that's okay. You'll take the favourites. That shows you.
Thanks,
I took Brisbane initially. Then I thought, Fremantle. All summer I thought Fremantle could beat Brisbane. I did.
Then what happened? You picked Brisbane.
No, I thought no. Go back and stick to your guns, idiot. And of course with Coleman out and Neil, but I thought no. Stick to what you thought with regards to Brisbane, the preparation, a bit less travelling. Yeah, so I'm glad I changed late to Fremantle. But okay, and what's Hammer's criteria for his tipping? You said
he's already picked the whole year.
Whole year, that's right. He's got the tough end of the draw there.
He thought he could do it. My grandparents used to do that back in the day in the family tipping comp. They'd submit 22 rounds before we started. So okay, go for your life. Another couple of big stories happening at the moment. Tasmanian teams, that is getting revealed today, this evening, I believe. The colours, maybe the song, I don't know. Certainly the name of the song.
Yeah, well, this will surprise you. The Devils looks like it's going to be front and centre.
Can't believe the
predominantly green. 2028 debut for Tassie. Punters are being offered a membership for $10 a pop, which I'm not sure what that gets you at this point in time, given it's 4 years away from starting. Brendan Gale likely to go down. Well, the map of Tassie being on the jumper, Scully, do you think? Is that appropriate, the state jumper type scenario?
Look, I know you're a big fan of BackChat, but we ran with the Tassie Salmons pretty hard. We were hoping for the Tasmanian Salmons with a bit of a pink salmon running across the front. Not going to happen, apparently. So, look, it looks like Tasmania will be a feature somewhere. The state, do I like it? Not really. I think the Devils and the Demons a little bit similar for mine, even though I know one's sort of satanic sort of reference.
More importantly,
more of an animal.
How important is it? They're going to get a lot of concessions if the Giants and the Suns are anything to go by. So, yeah, clubs are going to start shoring up their young talent and
well, especially if they're Tasmanian.
Yes.
Right? McKercher is Tasmanian, I believe, and Riley Sanders is also Tasmanian. Those two kids are going to be about 24 years old.
Perfect for them.
They will be on $2 million a year, and there's your captain and vice-captain there. Like, they are in prime picking. So the Western Bulldogs and North Melbourne, respectively, on those two guys, I think could be up for a little bit. The last sort of big story across the weekend, I thought, were the injuries. There was just some horrific injuries. We saw Gibcus for Richmond to his ACL, landed poorly. Yesterday, calling that game. Oscar McDonald, that I couldn't watch that.
Is that ACL, do you think?
Mate, it could be everything. It could have done every league.
It looked like his ankle got twisted.
That's what looked like it caused it. His ankle sort of went, and his body weight went over the knee. And Brendan Cox looks like he's done it. Maybe
could be a tendon.
It did not look good at all. Gota from North Melbourne.
The Achilles. That looked innocuous. I was calling that game. And I don't know if you've ever done an Achilles, probably not. But as they say, you feel like reportedly someone's sort of kicked you in the back of the leg, but there's no one there. So he just went down. There was no exertion from where we looked at the replay. So yeah, and even going back to Dan McStay, the ACL, and we've had a lot of ACLs early, which is it's 12 months automatic, and so too for Godo, who's going to be out for 12 months for the
Coleman, Doherty.
Yeah.
The Carl Warner one yesterday, you would have had this a bit, Skeet. I haven't really had it before. I was doing specials for the first time for Fox Footy, Skeet. A bit of a wobble.
Yeah, you have got the wobble. You're on social media and you're taking photos and just running your own race there.
Absolutely. Well, something happened that I hadn't really had to deal with. Never done. It's always radio, so TV specials. When Carl Warner got hit, they wouldn't show the replay, and so they were in our ear going, "You got to keep talking here. We can't show the replay because we're not sure if he's okay." So because
he went down, it wasn't like he went down and stayed down.
And his eyes weren't open, and they were really worried about his health. So that was a horrific incident. That was like a car crash. So I don't think we'll see him. That's not going to be a usual.
That's a couple of months.
Concussion. They're going to have to really get him right. So just some massive injuries to start the season, but I think overall a pretty positive one. You are on the Shelter FootyCast. Will Schofield, Mark Reddings. Let's get into the game, Skeeter. Got a bit to get through, so we'll whip through these. Carlton defeat Richmond. Were you impressed by Carlton in this game? I wasn't. I'll start with that. I think Richmond's a bottom four side. Carlton get a close win done. I also had a little bit of money over the line with Tab Touch for this one. Our betting group, we picked this one in the summer. We had to cycle a bit of funds through. And we as a group had quite a bit of our balance on this game, Carlton to beat Richmond. We put it on in January. And so needless to say, the message thread was blowing up with Carlton in and out of this. I wasn't impressed with the game from Carlton in this one.
Fair enough. I had a collect as well, thanks to Tab Touch. I had Richmond at 14.5 plus, so which they got within 5, which was nice. They were in the game for a long time. Yeah, I agree with you, but I still think after coming back from that win against Brisbane, to get across the line, Richmond's given them a lot of trouble over the last decade, really. So I don't mind the fact that they had to scrap a win. They win by 5. Big H, Harry Mackay kicks 3 and leads the way. Yeah, wasn't totally impressed with it, but Paddy Cripps, I think, without him, they probably don't win the game.
Yeah. But that's what your good players should do.
Yeah, they should do it, but he did it. And again, even though I thought it was Friday Night Footy in the interview afterwards, it was Thursday night, and he got his team across the line in a win. And to be fair, Richmond, that would have been one of their best ever home and away wins in recent times if they've got across the line. Having lost Prestia, Gibcus, there might have been another player who went down, but they were out on their feet in terms of soldiers. Yeah. So, Nick Vloston was talking about what a victory it would be for them, given the personnel unavailable on game day. I thought doesn't help Adam Uze. He's still 0 from 2, but they lose by 5 points. But I slightly disagree. I think Carlton, you sometimes just have to bank those wins and move on and think, okay, we didn't go anywhere near our best, but we still got a result.
You saw Adam Uze in the box. He looked not shattered, but he get, as a head coach, new head coach, a victory like that for Richmond would have really done wonders for the mentality within the group. They don't get it done. I thought Mitch McGovern, for what it's worth, was very good, 26 touches. Carlton go to 2-0, and they start the season really well. And like we said, you start at 0-2 the other way, which both of Carlton's games could have gone. That they then start struggling to look at finals, and that's not saying that you can't come back and do it, but 0-2 historically says and statistically says you don't make finals.
And I took this off Sir Swamp Thing, so Collingwood 0-2, Carlton 2-0. In 2024, that's the case. The last time that happened, with that exact 2-0-0-2, 1995. Is
that right?
Where Carlton were 2-0 and Collingwood 0-2, and we know what happened in 1995.
Carlton won the premiership against Geelong.
They did indeed.
I had to think about that. I did. I had my house all dressed up in the blue and white, just a third grand final loss in 4 years, thanks to West Coast and Geelong. Carlton. Sydney, 102, defeat Collingwood 69. Big victory. This is huge. MCG, Collingwood, no bigger task, right? It used to be maybe a West Coast or a Freo, that road trip, but for Sydney to come down to Melbourne, Collingwood over the past few years, don't lose at the MCG.
They looked, and I've got to say, Sydney absolutely outplayed them in most facets of the game.
Yep.
And you talk about being able to break down the opposition's game style. I thought Sydney did it superbly. John Longmire is an outstanding coach with support from Dean Cox. Isaac Heaney, just outstanding. He could have 6 Brownlow votes, or would certainly have a handful next to his name.
Does, yep. Chad Warner was very good.
Chad Warner, good, I think 27 and 2 or 3 goals. Three. Heaney with a couple of goals, Logan McDonald in attack, kicking 4. I was really impressed. And they've still got some real quality to come back into that side. When you think of Mills and Parker and Taylor Adams, Brodie Grundy, again, doing a reasonable job in the ruck. Errol Goulden's a star. I've undersold the Swans, I've got to say, pre-season, and they're playing some terrific footy against 2 top 4 sides of last year.
Yeah, really, really agree. I think there was some question marks with a Parker and an Adams going down with injury with this midfield hold up. Well, it's packed. Like, you look at Parker and Adams, especially Parker getting a bit older. You know, do you want to force a Chad Warner out of that mix? Do you want an Errol Goulden sort of spending less time through there? Probably not. Isaac Heaney, I think, was touted to go more forward than he's played in the midfield. You know, does it mean, you know, that mix of players, like, you know, Adams new to the club, he was sort of struggling to really get a consistent game at Collingwood at times last year. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. Nick Dacos, for what it's worth, was very good. I hope he doesn't get any votes in this one, though, because they lost significantly.
They lost. They ended up getting beaten by 5 goals, but at the end of the day, that was a 10-goal loss. They looked completely out of their depth. And look, there'll be some changes. We know Ash Johnson didn't get much of the footy in the forward line. It's always the forward that pays the price.
I read something that he's had to
his social media
down because Collingwood fans are getting into it.
Any fans? I mean,
I know that you don't like me swearing, but that's fucking disgraceful by fans. Like, this game is football, right? And I understand you want to win, and I understand that you want your players to be at their best. And maybe Ash Johnson isn't or wasn't. He's also a kid from Halls Creek that has come down and probably trying to adapt to what's going on at AFL level. I just think it's disgraceful. You get on social. I had some bloke going at me last night, and I think I'd probably handle it a bit better than Ash Johnson would. I was going straight back at this bloke. He was having a sook about biased commentary. I was like, "You're full of shit, mate." Blah blah blah. I don't understand the. As I said to this bloke last night, I said, if you wouldn't say something to someone's face, what are you getting on social media and running your mouth for?
Well, because you got anonymity next to you.
I invited this bloke last night down here to BackChat Studios at Optus Stadium on weekends, but 6PR Tuesday and Friday nights. Come down and have a chat with me. I even go for a beer with you. Running your mouth, dropping C-bombs, saying stuff about my family. It's just garbage.
Yeah, but so you said you handle it better than Ash Johnson. No, I'll take the other step. I don't mind Ash thinking, you know what, let me just separate myself from social media.
Yep.
I think it's, that in his case is the way to go. He's a young man. And look, he's not playing great footy. He's probably not getting the supply he'd like as well. Collingwood, it's just, it's not just in footy. It happens. Jockeys get it all the time on social media. Get absolutely potted because blokes have lost money. So, but yeah, I strongly endorse what you say. You handle it slightly differently to others. I'd sort of feel sort of bruised and just go to water. You fire back and throw some punches. Figuratively speaking.
Oh yeah, the final thing on this, if you wouldn't say something to someone's face, I don't say it on social media or on a podcast, or even when I'm talking about players, if I'm critical, if I wouldn't say that to that player's face, if he was standing right here, I don't think you bother saying it. Just keep it inside your own head. That's my thoughts on it anyway, Skeeter. But you and me, what happens in our heads is sometimes questionable as well. Essendon 107 defeat Hawthorn 83. This was an interesting game. I think Hawthorn came into it underdone a little bit personnel-wise and missing some names. Bit of heat at the start of this one. Yeah,
a bit of 1985 revisited. And, of course, the line in the sand.
Subdued. I mean, Dermy Brereton wasn't out there throwing haymakers.
No, exactly. Well, and bear in mind that 1984 Essendon Premiership team was there as part of a 40-year reunion. They did a lap of the ground, etc. Right. So there's always a bit of heat. These two clubs hate each other, to be honest with you. Essendon started really well. Well, look, break this down. It's 28 scoring shots to 22 in favour of Hawthorn, and Hawthorn get rolled by 4 goals. They're set shots they've missed, the goal opportunities they missed, they'll come back to haunt them. I don't think it was a complete tragedy for the Hawks. Dylan Moore stood up under, I think he was really crook heading into the game.
He's had glandular fever.
Yeah,
he's been out for...
Yeah, so that's a huge effort from him. I know Sam Mitchell was impressed on that front. And look, Brad Scott's going to say, yep, good result. The package Jake Stringer bags 4. Langford, very accurate kicks 3. Missing Darcy Parish, who's not insignificant. It's a good win for Essendon, but I still think defensively and they're a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde side, aren't they? They turn it on and turn it off, all in the space of a quarter.
I thought Archie Perkins was good. One of his better games at AFL level, a couple of goals and close to it. Best on-ground performance. Zach Merritt, he gets touches where when he just looks at a footy, he's somewhere around it. Look, yeah, you're right. With no Parish, that midfield mix looks a little bit different as well for Essendon. You want to start the game with a win over a depleted Hawthorn. What do Hawthorn take away from it? That I think they've probably whether or not their expectations of this season were higher, that given the pre-season they've had, and no CJ, no Will Day, Moore, you mentioned, has been missing a lot in action. They've got injuries to Denver Granger Barras, who may or may not have been in their starting 18. I just think if they had expectations of challenging for finals, I think they'd just be happy to be competitive this year.
Yeah, no doubt. Look, I thought Weddle was really good. And 2 players from other clubs. Scully has a cough, just to give our listener a bit of joy. Jack Ginnivan and also D'Ambrosio, former Bomber, I thought were pretty good. So that's a nice start to their careers. The Hawks, they get beaten. But Hawthorn are a team, we've got trust in what Sam Mitchell's doing. Once they get some personnel back and 2 or 3 years under their belt, players 50, 60 games, I think life will be looking a lot better.
Like to give players nicknames in our fantasy thread, me and my mates. D'Ambrosio goes by Vanessa Amorosi, so we'd like to have him enter the side. That was impressive. Had over 100 Dream Team points. GWS, I think the premiership favourites pretty much now. 121 defeat North Melbourne 82. Look, North Melbourne, again, I think they're going to be battling to get out of the bottom 4 this year at their newly named Energy Stadium. This one, 2 home games in a row for GWS. Tom Green, 37-1. Maybe he's on 6 Brownlow votes. He was very good in the first as well. Jesse Hogan going very well. He's kicked 10 for the season, 6. I think North Melbourne were always going to be under the pump. Therefore, their back line was undermanned, to say the best of what that was running out against. And the GWS who attack the goal phase so much, probably not a terrible result for them.
No, I thought they were good in patches. I thought they ran the ball through the middle exceptionally well at times. Look, they're, again, getting to the basics. They kicked 13 goals, 4, kept them in the game to some extent. It's 36 scoring shots for the Giants. So that's could have been a cricket score if they'd been accurate. Jesse Hogan, unselfish as well at times. So 10 goals from his 2 games. So he's playing the best footy of his career. I mean, go back to Melbourne. He didn't do a hell of a lot at the Dockers in a consistency sense. But you're right. Whitfield on top of the ground. Canelio always plays well. Tom Green, you've mentioned. And North, look, they lost Goda through injury. I had a look at Toby Pink, their sort of young defender who tried manfully. I do like their young kids, Davies Uniac's a gun, we know that. But Sheasel was good. McKercher did enough. You can just see in the first game that Sheasel's second year, but McKercher...
Wardlaw was
very
impressive.
Good. Yeah, there's enough there that they'll cause some teams headaches this year that they haven't previously. And so they should after getting gifted what they have by the AFL.
So they had 12 new players from their round 1 team last year, so that's a significant change over in 12 months. We mentioned off the top, Josh Goda's done his Achilles. He's done for the season, likely. Look, I think Jesse Hogan... I think that's one of the great stories, redemption-wise. I know he gets traded from Melbourne to Freo. There's a bit going on there. Doesn't do what he's meant to do at Fremantle and really gets a lifeline at the GWS Giants. And he was facing significant challenges off the field. On the field, form wasn't good. And he's gone to Sydney. He's got away from the limelight a little bit. I think the pressure's been turned down. And what he's done, he's having a great year this year, but what he did last year, he is a very, very good football player, and he just looks like he's in a really good spot mentally. And I think it's a great story.
And it's a great spot for him to go to when you look at, as you say, backing you up on all of that. Jesse goes to, I'm not sure where he lives in Sydney, but he goes to Coles or goes to, a restaurant.
No one knows him.
No one knows him. No one cares about him. Jesse, as you say, off field, probably not at his best at the Dockers. Apparently rocked up at training.
Yeah, we heard all the stories.
Early doors had the dart, whatever it was.
Yeah, we heard all the stories, and with all that stuff, and people can be critical, and the media can turn up the heat, but in the end, it's a young man who's probably lacking a bit of direction.
Maturity.
Yeah, maturity. And and didn't get it right.
I think you're right. I think most people, I mean, Docker supporters might be filthy they didn't get the best out of him, but I think at the end of the day, I've certainly hoped Jesse Hogan plays good footy, and if he wins a premiership this year, I think most of us will say, well done, turned your career, maybe your life around, and there's some that get to the fork in the road and they decide to take the easy option. He's decided, okay, I'm going to still make something of it, and he's playing good footy. I'm not saying it's Adam Kingsley has really helped in that regard, but I'd be surprised if he hasn't played a part in making sure that Jesse's comfortable at the footy club.
I'll pick GWS for the flag. Just want to put that on.
You did round 2. Well done.
No. It's not round 2, and I picked them.
No, it's I know, but it's a round 2, so that's good. You're on top of the table.
We're round 1 actually. Geelong 76, St Kilda 69. Did it for 2. GMHBA Stadium. What? Okay. GMHBA Stadium down at Geelong. Geelong, look, they get it done. Bit of a dour affair here for quite a...
It's not dour. It's as boring as batch for half the game. And when you look at some of the other games, and this is, as you say, Ross Lyon, who did some damage to the phone in the coach's box.
Did he? I didn't say that.
No, he said the phone got a workout. Absolutely. Really. So that was his sort of therapeutic style of getting over some frustrations. No, when I say boring, it was tight. And to be fair, St Kilda could have well have coughed up. They were trailing at every change. Geelong at home, they haven't beaten them down there for more than a decade. So
yes.
It's not the worst result, I don't think, for the Saints. What about the young man Oliver Dempsey?
Yeah,
you like him? I do like him. There's fine ways to unearth players of talent. The Cats they kick what 10, 16. Max Holmes was really good. Danger kicks a late goal.
Well, he had 25 and 8 clearances, so I think everyone expected him to be out of the goal square this year, and he was in the twilight of his career. But he had a significant impact on this game. Kicks the winner in the final minute, effectively. Joel Selwood bobbling his head down there. The new Joel Selwood stand down there. Was he commentating for Channel 7 on this one?
He was indeed, I think.
Wonder how he went. A bit of a rough start, Joel, I think, to his new career. No, man, it's difficult. It's very difficult. Special comments, Skeeter, as you well know.
That's yes. I tend.
Well, mate, it's very different playing 370 games like Joel's done to sit in front of a microphone and being able to analyse the game.
Well, put it this way, we couldn't as media people go and do your role and just slide in there.
I've done both, so it's not that hard. I've played footy and I can talk about it.
There's a fair bit of self-adulation going on my right-hand side, and if he keeps doing some work on Fox, this might just grow into a beast of unstoppable proportions. Just be humble and grateful to be part of the landscape, Scully.
Well, sitting by your side, mate, humble as, I tell you what, twice a week, I just get me right back in my box, that's for sure. Saints winless in Geelong since 1999. So
that's 25 years, not just 10.
Yeah, correct. You've hit the nail on the head there. You've thrown out 10, didn't you?
I thought at least a decade, but 25, mind you, they probably play there. Yeah, not that often.
No, they probably play there a bit, actually. So it's a fortress. Geelong's been a fortress for a long time, even if in sides that haven't been able to do it. I can't remember. West Coast was 2006.
Yeah, but bear in mind, they don't play the big clubs there. So they're playing clubs that don't draw, if it's Collingwood, Carlton, they're playing at the MCG. But they're still a powerhouse there. I still don't see them having a real say this year. But
neither do I.
That's a win at home, and well done to them.
Gold Coast defeat Adelaide by a goal, 60-54. I put my hand up, did not see this one. I know some things that went on. Taylor Walker didn't make the trip because of his some back spasms, apparently. They
were terrible early, Adelaide. I've got to be honest with you.
It's disappointing.
A goal up to half-time. It rained. It was slippery. The Suns... And you go back to their midfield combination, it is going to be something pretty handy if they can keep the likes of Rowell and Miller and Flanders and Powell all going at once. Matty Rowell, again, he's just a beast. And look, again, speaking of Brownlows, he's going to be dominant early on, particularly after that performance.
He did this in his first year.
I think he three voters in his opening.
And then got injured and missed a fair bit of footy with a shoulder from memory. He is just going to be an inside bull. I don't think we should expect anything more. We're not going to expect him running around, lacing blokes out like a Bontempelli. That's not the player he is. Inside bull. And I love Noah Anderson. I think he is an absolute star. It doesn't look the type. Like, he doesn't, you know, how Bontempelli or Pendlebury, that sort of, you know, he's got a bit of a weird gait. No Anderson, he gets the footy, knows where it is, smart, good by hand and foot. And Ned Flanders, our man, he's floating around there for fantasy players out there as well. Suns 2-0.
There they are. And look, Adelaide, they finished. They kicked 5 goals to 1 in the last quarter. Look, Damien Hardwick, he looked a pretty relieved man because the ball was about 60 out from the Adelaide goal with 30 seconds to go, and they managed to hold them out. But you know, against Richmond, they had a slump. Look, they're 2-0, so very hard to be critical. But he'll be mindful of this side's failings and what they have struggled to do, and that's close out games. Adelaide, they'll look and go, you know, where were we for 3 quarters? Rochelle ends up bobbing up late to kick 3 goals. Isaac Rankin, probably one of their better players on the night. Yes. Adelaide, I'm not going to lose too much faith. Their form away from home last year was pretty poor, and you can't keep doing that and expect to play much of a role in finals because you're not going to finish high enough up on the ladder. But I think they'll be better, and if Tex comes back, gives their forward line a lot better structure.
Belief is huge with a new coach. So when Damien Hardwick comes to the footy club and says, this is how we're going to win games of footy, this is how we're going to play finals, and you start 0-2, people go, what's this bloke talking about? Okay, he's won at Richmond, but don't know what we're doing here. 2-0 for that group, their mindset, I think it's a really big victory because it just brings belief, and everyone wants to come along for a ride there. Okay, what Damien says goes and we win, let's just do that. Everyone shut up, get on board the train, and let's go to the finals. They're looking pretty good, not great, but I like what they're doing right now. Melbourne defeat Western Bulldogs 109-46 at the MCG. Disappointing on a lot of fronts this one. Poor crowd.
40,000, wasn't it?
Yeah, poor round one. Melbourne Western Bulldogs. Where are you? MCC looked half empty as well, so not even the members in the RM Williams could get in there and have a couple of full strengths up the back of the Percy stand up there. Look, this one's Clayton Oliver dominates, 35 disposals, standing ovation when coming off the ground late in the last quarter. Gave Simon Goodwin a big hug. That's a good story. I think it goes in the same area as Jesse Hogan. Yes, the off-field stuff, everyone wants to talk about it and have their opinion and what it's going to do to the football club. But in the end, he's a footballer and a young man trying to find his way. And seeing him play good footy, I think, is a good thing. The Western Bulldogs, mate, like where are they? I don't know where they are at. There's strange things happening there. Caleb Daniels starting as a sub. I think sort of someone of his experience and the calmness by foot probably should be in your starting 18, at least your starting 22. Bevo sub Riley Sanders sort of in his first game.
I think he had 15 touches or
Came
something.
out and said it could have been any of 6 or 7 players. You're losing by that much. Make it one of the other 6 or 7 players then. I don't know why you're doing it to a first gamer that you've got high hopes for too. I don't know what structurally that does or what it does for that kid's confidence. I'd say you want him up and about, wouldn't you?
They've kicked 9 goals, and you keep looking at that forward line, the potential there of Ugle, Hagan, Norton, and Lobb. I
said 46-64, sorry.
9 goals. The forward line they've got Waitman, who's a really good small forward. They've got the quality there to kick a score. They've got the midfield, I would have thought, with English and Bontempelli to be very serviceable. Maybe the knock, Scully, from a defender's perspective is down back is have they got enough steel there to prevent, on this occasion, Melbourne, who couldn't hit a barn door for a fair while. They've had 29 scoring shots, kicked 16-13. They've kicked 100 points against the Bulldogs, which is a major concern.
Well, if you look down the bottom of the stats, Norton, who's a star, but this is Lever and May keeping these guys under control. Yep. One goal, 6 touches. Lobb, 1 goal, 7 touches. So they're the guys that you want on the scoreboard and hitting it. Even Harms, who's come over from Melbourne, has 11 touches, no impact on the scoreboard. Hello. I think, it's really interesting. Jack Billings, who started as the sub in round 0, he comes back in, and I really thought he was going to make a huge impact like he did in this game. But they started him as a sub last week, which was strange for Melbourne. He had 23, 15 marks and a goal. That's a huge game.
Yeah, and look, their forward line, I mean, it's hard to... If you put one of those key forwards of the Bulldogs into Melbourne's front half, I mean, Ben Brown's, he's a 50-50 player at best, really. He's not, he's not a cert lock-in every week. They rely on Chandler to kick 3. The young man, Jacob Van Rooyen.
I reckon he could be half your boy. You like.
Well, I've seen him play for Claremont. He's got qualities. he's going to develop into something pretty good. Now, whether he's in the same bracket as Logan McDonald in terms of star power in 3 or 4 years from now, not sure. But yeah, they've got, rely on their mids and their backs, and they've kicked 16 against the Bulldogs side. So Melbourne, big tick. Wow. Bulldogs. There's a lot to question.
One or two more games like that from the Bulldogs. Beveridge is going to be under the pump. He already is.
Yeah, he'll be the big. If they miss the 8 this year, full stop. If they miss the 8, that will be a lot of pressure on.
Yeah, but he'll come under pressure before that.
Oh, of course, yeah. But in terms of keeping his job, I think to keep the job, they have to play finals. That's my gut feeling. Well, I know they've had a big review at the club, so I'm not saying he should be sacked mid-season, but they're one game in, and it doesn't look good.
All right, we usually do this at the start of the show, but I don't know. They both played last on a Sunday, so we're doing this last as we get through the West Coast and the Freo games. Let's get into these ones, Skeeter. Port Adelaide defeat West Coast 120-70 at Adelaide Oval on a Sunday afternoon. Looked pretty hot over there. Spoke to Mark Rasciuto before the game. He said it was steaming. I think West Coast, a couple of their players might have been a little underdone. A bit of gastro going through the footy club.
Oscar Allen during the week.
Oscar Allen was in a bit of trouble, and there was a couple of others under a few clouds, I believe. That to the side, I think they looked pretty competitive. Harley Reid would have been happy with his start. He had 5 touches within about 5 minutes, and I don't think he was getting tagged, but they started paying him a bit of attention through the middle of the ground. He finished with 16 and 5 clearances. It's a pretty good game to come off with a young fella. I will just say on the Harley Reid situation, I thought the back page on Sunday was one of the great marketing pieces, long time here in Australia. We'd seen 3 months worth of Harley Reid back pages, completely black by Puma, and back page without pressure. Good luck, mate, just in white writing. Have you seen it?
I saw something on social media, yes, I did see it.
It was very, very good.
But it was clear what the message and who it was directed to.
Well, it was in the West. It was literally...
Yeah, but was the name Harley Reid mentioned anywhere?
No, but it was a Puma who's his major sponsor.
Yeah, well, if you know Pumas, so I'm assuming that most people think has to be Harley. I mean,
a back page without the pressure. Good luck, mate. Who else are they fucking talking about? They're his major sponsor. What do you?
But not everyone knows that Harley Reid's sponsored by Puma. That's my point. So yeah, it's there. Good luck, mate. And so it's clearly.
Well,
Harley.
it sounds like it hasn't quite hit home for you this one. I thought it was outstanding.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, it's good by Puma. It's good. Yeah, okay. It's like I'm just a bit sick of seeing H reading the back page.
Well, that's why it was a good back page. It's nothing to do with it. Thank you very much.
It was.
Right. Okay. Thank you. I'm glad I mentioned that one. Tell us how the game went, Skeeter.
I didn't see much of it. No, I saw enough to see that. Look, their pressure was better. I did see, one passage of play. I think it was 8 minutes to go in the second quarter. Jinby, your boy, kicks through the middle, turns it over. Then it goes into the defence of West Coast. Grabbed by Hunt. He misses his target. Petruccelli then gets it and puts it out of bounds on the full. So right. I'm picking the worst of the worst, but there's still some things to tidy up. Only a few minutes later, of course, Jinby spots up Jamie Cripps inside 50. So... I'm not sure what your read on the situation was, whether some players are underdone. Petruccelli kicks 3 goals, and if he keeps, producing that type of input.
The game he played on the weekend is what everyone has been hoping for a long time for Jack, and the consistency's always been the issue. So does he back up and do it again next week, or is he out of the game? That's probably the question. Jeremy McGovern looked very good, I thought. Look, all reports this pre-season, a little adductor towards the back end, but he's had a really good pre-season. His body's looking good, feeling good, so he looked back to his best. Story probably is going to be for West Coast. One, they were competitive, I thought. I thought the pass mark was 50 points on this one.
That's a sad indictment, isn't it, really?
Oh, they're the worst team in the competition.
No, I'm saying, to have in round one, a pass mark 50 points.
Do you think it was less?
No, I think you're probably right, but I'm saying it's a sad indictment on where West Coast, in the minds of outsiders and yourself, think that they sort of sit. So
I think Port Adelaide are going to be almost top of the ladder after 8 rounds.
I think they're one of the best. I think they're top 4 side, and with the involvement of Radaglia coming into the side, a big Ivan Soldo who's pretty darn good. Yep. Zerk Thatcher's in the mix as well. They've obviously tried to shore up their defensive aspects of their game. So they've done that, and off the back of what we saw, I mean, Elliot Yeo, I liked his game as well. I thought he was getting across the ground and
20,
showing
20 disposals.
Yeah, showing us a fair bit. And, Butters and Rosie, they're just, elite.
Stars.
A-graders. A-graders.
They still get confused.
I'm actually not far behind.
They just.
I take, when I'm commentating, I just take an extra half a second
Yeah.
before I'm, if you're in Adelaide, you think, what are these two peanuts in Perth talking about?
They're correct. But that's a regular occurrence. But I just think they look similar and they're both amazing players.
They're super. Now, we said 50 points was the pass mark. Let's be honest.
Next week.
No, well, I'm not sure what that is, but they kicked 16-24. So they're pretty fortunate. They're 40 scoring shots. 40 scoring shots.
That's not good.
That's a very big concern.
That's not good because if they kick half of those missed shots, it turns into a 100-point loss again.
Yeah.
So, look.
And your man, Charlie Dixon.
He took some marks on Tom Barras that I don't know how he marked them. And I felt for TB because as a backman, you can only do so much sometimes. Be up with physical pressure, spoiling. He was taking one-handers. He was clunking them. He's really important for them with this terrible Lord going down with a bit of an injury in the... Was it Lord?
Ollie Lord?
Who hurt themselves in the pre-season? Don't even... I thought one of their... Anyway, they're Finlayson, big blonde guy, and Charlie Dixon. Okay,
Finlayson can play.
Okay, who's their other tall forward?
Wait, you're going through.
Yeah, see, exactly right. Thank you, Todd
Marshall.
Yeah, forgetting Todd Marshall. Look, I think one little story will come out of this. Andrew Gaff subbed out, 4 touches.
A lot of pressure on Gaffy to keep his spot.
People are saying, what are you playing, Gaff over Chesser? Look, I think Chesser's looked a little bit underdone from what I've seen, and Andrew Gaff, from all reports, has had a pretty good preseason. Now the game doesn't go the way he would have hoped, but people,
the pylon started.
They want it. Well, there's going to be people in the gun, and if West Coast continue to lose, they want to see the kids because they said we're not going to win. Just give us the kids. We don't.
I don't mind that philosophy. And if Clay Hall's ready to play and he's overcome his preseason,
get him in.
Let's have a look. Whether it's at the expense of an Andrew Gaff or a player of some sort.
I would have Hall in front of Chesser from what I've seen in the preseason in terms of just. I just think with Campbell Chesser, great fella by the way. I think he just needs to play waffle. Get his confidence up. Playing in the AFL, you learn. Your learnings are expedited a little bit because you're playing against real men and it's high pace. But sometimes as a young, no way you can get confidence up unless you're a Harley Reid. It doesn't really need that confidence. I think you play a Clay Hall. He's a bigger bodied guy. He looks like he's physically developed through the juniors. Really big raps about him. Play him over a Chesser and just let Chesser go and get 30 touches down the waffle. Sometimes as a young player, you come through juniors and you get to the AFL and you're getting 12 touches and 10 touches. Give him a 30 5 weeks in a row and you think, okay, I can do this. And you come in really confident. That's what they'd love to do. But again, injuries are causing issues. Bit of a look forward. I think 70 points is the pass mark against GWS. I'm not bullish on West Coast v GWS.
Well, you can't be. I mean, they did beat them here last year, but
that's not going to be happening.
That's not happening at the moment. And the Giants absolutely flying, and that could be Harley Reid's first game in Perth. Bit of hype about that, as we know, but gee whiz, there's. I'm trying to find the first win for West Coast, and it's not in my line of sight.
Well, yep, they'll be close to wooden spoon again, so that'll be fun for everybody to watch. Fremantle 93 defeat Brisbane 70. At least one West Australian side is sizzling. I couldn't have been more impressed with Fremantle's game yesterday. Just in case you missed it, I did call the game with Fox Footy.
Oh, Fenny. He's as I say,
I'm just going to bait you all year.
He fell in love with himself at an early age. So he has been loyal ever since. Yes, you're on Fox. Well done.
Fremantle, I only did that just to piss you off. Now, Fremantle, look, they give up the first 4 goals of the game. And if you told me Brisbane kicked 4 goals to nothing to start this game.
Game over.
Before the game, I say, game's over. Look, couple of silly free kick, the rush behind, the 50-minute penalty.
Yep.
There was two goals just from nothing, and then another turnover that they just went coast to coast on. So I was sort of watching it thinking, well, Brisbane don't have dominance of this game, but as the Freo players, you're thinking, are they going to respond? Are we going to see something? They kicked 2 late goals in that first quarter.
Yeah, but Banfield, Switkowski, and if you looked up at the scoreboard and went, a couple of goals down, they've been absolutely, I thought, putrid for the first 15, 20 minutes. So, I thought it was a reasonable result. And in essence, I mean, we know Sarong, we talked about the 46, but their centre square combination, Jackson with Darcy out, I just think looks looks completely at home in that role. His athleticism, his vertical leap. Fife did his role ground level. We know the work of Young, Sarong. Brayshaw, I think we've discussed this. Is he a fish out of water a little bit at the moment with what role he's been given? Either way, it's to the betterment of the side, so I'm sure he's going to try and adapt to it.
So, spoke to Justin Longmuir before the game, a bit of an informal chat. So, one, they're really keen to play Luke Jackson as a forward. They think that having him in front of the footy will be better for them. Yes, he looked good around the footy, but having Sean Darcy in there, Sean Darcy's a good player as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, so having Luke Jackson as a high forward to be able to do exactly what he was doing, coming up, taking those big marks on the wing.
Get up to the wing, yeah.
That's what they want, right? They don't get that on the weekend. To answer your Brayshaw question, look, he has 32 disposals. Basically, his role, he starts on a wing, right? So everyone's complaining, he's on the midfield. Starts on the wing for 5 minutes, and then he's on-ball rotation for the rest of the quarter. Goes bench, then on-ball.
Yep.
So, look, that starting three midfield, they don't just run around the midfield for 120 minutes. You need rotating players. They can't have Fife, Young, Brayshaw, Sarong. Brayshaw gives them a bit of zip. He's pretty quick, runs, defensively. Young and Fife, they're not defensive midfielders, even though Fife's an in and under. So I think they got it pretty right on the weekend.
Absolutely.
Sarong started getting tagged by Devon Robertson at one stage after he'd had 30 in the first half. They held that for maybe 3/4 of the third quarter, but that went down the toilet.
I thought what kept them in the game as well in the second quarter, I think in the first 5 or 6 minutes, might have been 5 to zip inside 50s. The defence of Fremantle, led by Alex Pearce, who was the best in the first half, close to. Luke Ryan got better and was outstanding, I thought, as well. I thought the defence, as has been the case with Fremantle, was the reason they stayed in the game. And then as their skills improved and they managed to work through Harris Andrews and obviously try and keep his role as limited as possible.
Well, he was big in the first quarter.
Yeah, exactly. But being able to then hit up your targets late in that second quarter to Amos, who's got the beautiful kicking style. So
beautiful kick.
Yeah, so they played it a lot better. Josh Tracy, he's a bit clunky at times, but he crashed a couple of packs, which produced a goal for Brendan Cox.
Just play him every week. I know Freo fans sort of worried about the inconsistency stuff. Just play him. I can guarantee you, what I've seen in his first 4 years on the Freo list, just play him. He's better than Tabs. He's better than Vot. He's your second best key forward. Luke Jackson will be able to do a hybrid role.
Spectacular on the way through.
Just play Tracy. He's gonna be good. Just stay with him. And I was so happy to see him play a good game, kick 3 goals. Look, Brisbane, they conceded 8 goals in a row against Carlton the week before in a 20-minute patch of footy between half-time. This one, they conceded 8 goals in a row from those 2 goals at the first quarter all the way through to half-time. It was a momentum thing again for Brisbane, and then they just couldn't restart it. So there's significant questions around how they're going about it, but Freo couldn't have been more impressive. Look, we spoke about it off the top. Some, on the negative side of things, those injuries, I don't think you could have picked 2 players that you could less afford to lose than Cox and McDonald. And I know McDonald's a role player, but what he does is allow you to play Cox forward. With no McDonald there, Cox goes back, underdone. So that's what he was doing. We don't know exactly what his injury is, but that knee looked absolutely horrific, so he'll be done for a significant amount of time.
Possibly the year.
Brendan Cox's hammy looked like a tendon to me, but again, a couple of medical experts sitting here, we don't know that, but it did not look good at all. If you can't walk after doing it, that's not good. So Cox, McDonald, a Warner out as well. Oh, gee, I just wanted Freo to have a good run at it, and that's not going to allow them to do that. They're going to have personnel issues now.
Yeah, and just trying to think of who they can...
Well, forward Tab and Voss are the two.
Yeah, but...
Because they want to play 3 talls.
Yeah, so who goes back from the... I mean, you look at what's waiting the wings, and they've got North Melbourne up next. They've got to contend with Larkey, which obviously Alex Pearce, and Luke Ryan plays tall, so
yes.
there's a benefit there if Coleman Jones is their tall option, but he wasn't terrific on the weekend.
The 2 guys, I think, are Davies, who's been on the list for a couple of years now. Hugh Davies, so he's raw.
He's very raw.
I remember a young Tom Barras being sort of spoken about in the similar ilk. You raw, but you've got to get him in there. And Heath Chapman, I think, is probably the guy that they'd love to have up and going right now because I think he's a bit taller. You can play him as the high guy. Luke Ryan will go deep alongside Alex Pearce and you make it happen. But you're still scrapping at it. Like Luke Ryan on a Larky, like that's a big mismatch.
Exactly. Well, that's where you want probably Pearce taking that role, I would have thought, maybe or not.
Yeah. To summarise Freo, what really impressed me was their desire, their hunt, the smothers,
the
tackles.
the tackling. That to me, and I asked Luke McFarlane after the match exactly that, and I said, how much is that valued at a footy club? He said, it's enormous. It's massive. And at every footy club, I'm sure.
And mate, everyone's got game plans and good players and all that, but those things there,
it lifts players, it lifts the crowd. It's a palpable thing.
You can't actually, like Justin Longmuir can't coach. He can't actually get players to do that.
Attitude.
It needs to be driven within, and that was impressive. It was coming like Michael Walters looked a bit quicker than he has the last couple of years. He looked really
couple of chase downs himself. He's on 349 career goals, so hopefully he picks up that little milestone against the Roos this weekend.
Very, very good for Freo. I just hope the injuries don't sort of just unravel all the good work they've done over the pre-season. But I was very impressed, Skeeter. Very, very impressed. Will Schofield, Mark Redding, Shoulder FootyCast. Just a nice bit of feedback here. I think this was not mentioned last week, Nicholas. Hopefully I'm going to just pad along here for just 5 seconds. I'm going to read it out even if it was. After 115 days as an Eagles, hang on. After 115 days of Eagles and countless backpage articles, we finally get to see Harley Reid at AFL level. That's the good news, Eagles fans. I think this must have been read last week. All right, piss that off. They can just get out of the run sheet. Thank you very much.
Fair enough. Okay.
Skater, we'd love to hear from fans. I think we could start throwing out a couple of slabs of shelter for great interaction. Shelter FootyCast, you can send us a DM. You can comment on the YouTube page at BackChat Studios. You can send us an email, footycast@shelterbrewing.com.au or footycast@backchatstudios.com.au. Skeeter, big week coming up ahead.
Looking for plenty of footy Thursday. It'll get here before we know it. Collingwood, St Kilda.
Love it.
Big game. Saints at the
Saints knock off St Kilda. Is that possible?
Saints knock off Collingwood? Yeah, possibly.
Saints knock off St Kilda. Just wrap me up. Someone put some music over.
Looking forward to looking after your kids this afternoon at my house while you just try and make another few $1,000s on the side.
Thank you very much, Skeeter. I'll see you next week, mate.